So the key ideas give a bit of a summary of the two different models that we've spoken about with the counter model and the number line model. So remember, with the counters, they use two different colors. They use red and blue. With the red counters, they represent positive or negative numbers. Negative, and the blue ones represent positive. So you can see here, this example, what are these counters representing if I've got 3 negatives and then 2 negatives written underneath them, Logan?
Negative.
Yep, so what would the sum be, James?
-3 plus -2.
Good, -3 plus -2. Whereas this one here, where they've got 2 red ones and then 5 blue ones, what would be the sum that would be representing, Ben?
-2 plus +5.
Good. Alright, then we move into the number line model. So if I've got +6 plus +2, remember the first number always shows me where I start on my number line. So for this one here, I would be starting at +6 and I'm adding +2. Whenever I'm adding a positive, I move to the right of my number line. Alright, so here I start at +6, I move across 1, 2 on my number line. Now you can either draw the horizontal line with an arrow on it if you want, or you can do it the way that I did it last week, how I was showing a little jump with the cursor. Then the only other thing is, if you're adding a negative number, if you have a positive, that's your starting, or whatever your starting point is, you might start at -6 and then you just start on -6 on the number line. The first number always tells you your starting point. Then if I have plus, if I'm adding a negative number, you just move the other way on the number line. So in this case, they've got +6 and they're adding -2. So it's essentially subtracting, so I move left on the number line. Alright, so +6 plus -2 will give me +4. So in the first example, I have -5 plus -3. Using the counter model, I have 5 negatives in the first row, 3 negatives in the second row. Therefore, if I wanted to do -5 plus -3, essentially I'm counting how many red counters there are, and there's 8. And since reds represent negative, I have -8. In the second example, I have +3 plus -7. Since I have +3, those are going to be represented by 3 blue counters, and I'm adding -7, which are represented by the 7 red counters. Now, when I have 1 blue counter and 1 red counter, that's essentially what we call a 0 pair, because +1 minus 1 just gives you 0. So that will give you 0, this will give you 0, this will give you 0, and the remaining counters are 4 red ones. Therefore, +3 plus -7 will give you -4, since we've got 4 red ones remaining. So you work through question 1 using the counter model, and 2 and 3 also use the counter model. Now, down below in this example and then the questions following, we're using a number line rather than counters, and we'll just have a look at the two. So in part A, we've got -4 plus +3. In all situations where you're using a number line, the first number represents where you start on the number line. So since I have -4 as my first number, I start at -4. I'm adding +3, so I move to the right 3 positions. So here I am at -4, and I move across 1, 2, 3, so I get -1. And then underneath you can see that they've written the sum. So -4 plus 3 equals -1. So each time you'll be drawing that number line out, you'll be drawing your starting point, and you'll be drawing the arrow which shows which way you're moving. In the second example, I've got -4 plus -3. My starting point is going to be -4, but since I'm adding a negative number, we're not moving to the right of the number line anymore. We're going to move to the left of the number line. So I start at -4, and since I'm adding -3, I'm moving to the left 3 positions, 1, 2, 3, and that brings me to -7. So underneath I've written -4 plus -3 gives you negative 7.